I made a statement about when asked, can there be a female football coach in the NFL? And fortunately, I've known a very, very good football coach who was female a long time ago at Hines Junior College in Mississippi, Dot Murphy. And I said, sure, because our players only want to be taught how to be better. They really don't care who teaches it to them. So Coach Welter, his coach, called me, said, I have a female coach that you might be very interested in. I know she would be interested in it. And we got the ball rolling. She came over for OTAs. We met. I knew this was the type of person that I was looking for to start this. And very, very excited to have Coach Jen Welter join our staff as an intern throughout preseason.
I could not have dreamed big enough to imagine that this day would ever come. I started playing football 15 years ago, and I fell in love. I actually fell in love as a little kid, but I didn't have a chance to play until after college. And I changed my whole life around to be able to make that happen. I still remember the day I got my first check to turn pro as a player. And it was 2004. We won our first championship, and I got a check for $12. It was $1 a game, but that's what technically made us pro. And that was before the time when you could take a picture of the check and keep it. It was either you cash it or you keep it. So I kept it. And, it's kind of special. I bring it with me everywhere. It's actually in my purse upstairs. But I didn't start playing football to be here. I didn't even dream that it was possible. And I think the beauty of this is that though it's a dream I never could have had, now it's a dream other girls can grow up and have. And so I guess if that makes me a trailblazer, then
she's a trailblazer.
I'm honored. Well, then I'm honored. But you know what? That only happens with the best possible team, and that comes with, the foresight of somebody like Bruce, who just out of the strength of his will, I would say that's how it happened. He told me when he offered me the job, he said, I want you to know it's in my heart to offer you this internship. I don't know yet if I can make it happen. He had to reach out and get all the right support. He had to have the support of a family like the Bidwells. He had to have a general manager with the foresight of Steve Keim to say yes. He had to get all of the right yeses. But it was his heart that made it happen, and it was his belief that the Arizona Cardinals was the team that could handle this happening, and that he had coaches on his staff that would embrace it, not cast me off to the side. Kirk reached out to me yesterday, and he was like, let's hit this playbook. He's like, anything you need, I got you. And that's the attitude that all of the interns he has here have, and that's the attitude that everyone on his staff here. That's beautiful. You can't blaze a trail alone, otherwise you're going to get stuck in the woods. What I knew about Bruce before this was, what happened in Indy. And being a doctor of psychology, I get called in on all kinds of crazy situations. Like, I'm going into this bad situation, and doc, tell me what to do. And I would not have written anything better. I could not have coached anybody better on how to handle such a tough situation for a team. Leaving the front seat open because that's coach's seat. All of those little things that he did, I was just like, man, this is an amazing man. Like, of course he would be coach of the year. How could he not be? I never knew that would impact my life. But the impact it had on so many lives, I was like, man, that is a coach any player would love to play for. I would run through a wall for that guy. If you told me there's a soft spot in that wall, Welter, if you hit it right there, I'm going to hit that spot for him. I don't have to see it. I'm going to trust it. I'm going to go right through that Cardinal head right there. Okay, I'm down, coach. You got an ambulance in the back in case I don't make it through, Are you sure? I'm kind of short if I hit it wrong. No, but that's the type of man that he is. I didn't know or even could have dreamed that would impact my life. When I heard the comments that he made, I actually talked to Devin about it, and he was like, well, we should call Bruce. But see, that's the difference of somebody who's on the inside in the NFL. You know, they have that coaching network and those guys, and I've been blessed. Don't get me wrong. I have had a lot of guys who have mentored me, NFL guys who are great, you know, followed my career, supported me. But I didn't even know things like that could happen. I mean, that's the biggest platform in football. This is one of the biggest men in football, one of the top 32 on the field people. I would never think I'm just going to pick up the phone and call Bruce. But he did. And I actually had another friend of mine actually not too long after it when I was coaching, and I hadn't told anybody because I was scared. I knew Bruce had called Devin, but it couldn't quite be real, so I didn't say it out loud because it might go away. But Dave Diaz-Infante, who actually was here, was a good friend of mine. I'd known him for years, and he was in Dallas just visiting. He's like, hey, let's catch up. And I was like, oh, I can't, you know, I'm in Amarillo coaching. It's my glamorous life with these guys. You know, we were on a bus or something at the time. He said, oh, that's right, you're coaching the men's pro team. How's that going? It's like, well, it's really different not playing, but, you know, I get my hits vicariously through these guys when they did it right. So, you know, at least that's something. And he said, have you ever thought of doing the NFL internship? And I'm like, man, before a few weeks ago, I never even knew this thing existed. Now it's twice. You know, that's kind of confirmation that's a little scary. And he said, you know, Bruce Arians is just an amazing man, and I think he would love you. I would happily talk to him on your behalf. And at that point, I kind of said, well, okay, so I'm going to tell you what happened, but I was scared and I didn't know what to do. And he said, well, I'm supposed to go into OTAs with some of the guys, and I'll make sure I let them know I know you. And I believe he told me that Bruce said I wanted to talk to that girl, but she never called me. And he laughed because he was like, well, she wouldn't unless she knew she was supposed to. So,
Jen, what has the last 24 hours been like for you, and what are your expectations?
My expectations are to learn from the very best in football. I am so blessed to be surrounded by these guys. And like I said, the last 24 hours has really been getting wrapped up by, like, in the wings of the Cardinals. I mean, I couldn't say it any better. Like, from the Bidwells to Coach Arians to, you know, Kirk, every single one of them just taking me into the fold and being like, we are so glad to have you. Let's learn. You know, what do you need to know? What do you know, anything hanging you up? How can we make you feel more comfortable? And that's been, you know, everyone I've come in contact with. The media part is insane. You know, I always like to say I played, you know, 13 years of women's football, being one of the best in the world, 2 gold medals, and nobody even knew I was, you know, I existed until I took big hits by men. So to be in this spot, it's a little overwhelming, but it's very exciting.
Jen, what is your biggest concern or challenge going into this venture?
The size of an NFL playbook. I'm a doctor, but that's a lot of work. You know, you have to have dreams, but I believe that, you know, I knew as soon as I started playing football that it was my destiny. I didn't know what that meant. But I knew that God had put me on a path and that I had to be smart enough to put my head down, go to work, and let him put me to work. And that's what he's done up to this point. What would be a dream? A dream would be staying on. A dream would be sitting there with Kirk and him being like, man, I'm glad I roped you up in this fellowship, or someone else does. But I can't say what that means yet. I have to live in this moment and be so happy to be right here. Because if the work's not there, it doesn't matter how big your dreams are, because you're going to be sitting on the sidelines anyway. Well, not on those sidelines. You're going to be sitting on the side of the road, you know? Well, first of all, I can show these guys what, you know, that you can overcome any limitation. I'm 5'2", 130 pounds. I never should have been able to do what I was doing even in the women's league. So it's not always about outbigging somebody. Sometimes you have to be a little bit smarter. And, you know, I'm a big believer in knowing your opponents, in film study, in, you know, even embracing your character as an athlete, both the character that you are and the character that you display. And I think when you bring those things to guys and you help them learn in the way that they need to learn, the X's and O's become much simpler. There are a lot of people who are very good X's and O's guys, and I guarantee they're better than I am in some points. But the heart factor, the intelligent player factor, the being the person with the motor that'll never quit factor, those are things that I know I can add to. And if they could take, I had a coach say to me once, actually when I was playing for the Revolution, he said it to somebody else. He said, if you could put the heart of Jen Welter into every player on this team, we would never lose. And so that's the thing I would hope to bring to anybody.
Little girls growing up now, what does this tell them about what's possible?
It shows them that anything is possible. And that's so beautiful. To me, unfortunately, I think the hardest thing in our society right now, no offense, is the media. We show little girls all the time to be beautiful and to do it all the wrong ways, right? We show them as accessories, for no other better way to put it. We teach them very early on to be pretty, marry well, and then act badly, and you'll get on TV. And then that's what they grow up thinking that fame is or success is. I want little girls to grow up knowing that when they put their mind to something, when they work hard, that they can do anything regardless of those things. Adolescent female self-esteem right now in our country is at an all-time low. Adolescent females are more likely to accept drama in relationships, to be combative with their friends, all of those things, because we've shown them that image is more important than intelligence, that beauty is more important than talent. And until we pick up and show women that are doing things because they're awesome and not just because they're pretty, how else would they judge themselves? And pretty is a standard very, very few people can live up to, because it's perfection. It's Photoshop, it's Instagram, it's filters. And I know I love the saying, I woke up like this, but I promise you, I don't wake up like that. Very few of us do.